welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Hobby Ramblers on Monday. Bam! Hello! We are back! And yeah! So, of course, I'm Bill from Dragon Tooth Miniatures. This is Mr. Molly from Mr. Molly Malau. And our special guest, Mr. Jason Ortega from the like, where is he? He's there. He's from the other America. He's the other America.
I'm America Junior, or also Singapore Junior, since I'm in Malaysia, right?
Yep. No, it's the other way around. Like, I would say Singapore is Malaysia Junior.
Is that because it's like the Southern Hemisphere, so everything gets flipped?
No, I think it's just because, like, Singapore is just a very young country and broke off from Malaysia.
Fair.
So it is kind of like
I'm from America's hat.
You are the top hat of America.
Mm-hmm. Crested with mighty snow.
Yes. All right then. Okay, Dude, tell us. First subject of the day, first prompt is, how did you get started in the hobby?
I got started in the hobby through friends. We were all big into tabletop, board games, Advanced Squad Leader and Axis and Allies and stuff like this. And then we were doing RPGs, of course, Dungeons and Dragons, Rifts, and then through that, we started seeing miniatures at the hobby shop and things like this, and everybody's like, "All right, that looks cool. Let's give this a try."
Did you ever see the first wave of the pre-painted D&D miniatures? How did you ever use them?
No.
How bad they were.
They're like hero clicks, but worse.
Way worse.
Yes, they were terrible. But yeah, that's how I got into the hobby. Yeah.
I hear.
Yeah.
Bad production quality.
Hey, not the best QC. But it did bring the joy of tiny metal folk to the masses. So for that, we thank them.
Yeah. At $1 a piece. $1 a piece.
Yeah, how are you going to beat that?
It's amazing what slave labor will do.
Yep.
Right? Boy.
Yeah.
Your slave labor needs to be more efficient. How can they, this shoddy workmanship?
The joys of the 80s.
Yeah, get what you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you had a bunch of friends, you had a gaming group, and you saw some people, play around with some, tiny tool soldiers, and I'm guessing you got some of your own? Was Warhammer what you first started with, or was there another hobby that you started with first?
Well, for tabletop miniatures, Warhammer was it. Of course, we still had some figures from when we were playing Dungeons and Dragons and things like this, but we got into Warhammer Fantasy Battles, probably 3rd edition, maybe? 3rd, 4th.
Yes. The good edition.
Yep. And I fell in love with Skaven, so I picked up a bunch of Skaven, and that was an absolute bitch to use because, you had 300 clan rats that you had to carry around all in metal. But yeah, that was my first army, was Fantasy Battles. So we did that for a while, and then we saw the Rogue Trader was dropping, and all of us decided, hey, we're going to get into this as well.
I would like to just say, right, I don't mean this in a very offensive way, but it's just don't we kind of all look like our Warhammer Fantasy Battle armies a little bit?
Oh, God.
So my first ever Warhammer Fantasy Battle was the Empire, because I like the guys with mustaches. And I grew up to be a very mustached guy. And Molly...
Well, I'm just going to modify this slightly. Do I look like a goblin?
Yes.
Well, there's nothing tiny or skinny about me, so maybe I'm the outlier. I don't exactly look too Skavenish, unless I'm one of the big fat ones that they used to roll around.
Rat ogre. You're a rat ogre.
A rat ogre could be. I could be one of the monstrosities.
You're a dwarf. You're a runt rat ogre. You ride around on a bigger rat ogre. It's
So instead of Master Blaster, it's Blaster Blaster.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Carry on with your story, my friend. That was a bit of
no, yeah. So we got
like,
started with fantasy battles, and then we got into Rogue Trader. This was all, of course, during high school. I'm dating myself a little bit, but we were hooked from that point on. Everybody was buying new models. We were following the White Dwarf articles about making your own tanks. The good old,
I love those.
Yeah, the good old days of deodorant stick spaceships and things like this.
Using Kodak film tubes to turn your Rhino into a Vindicator.
Whatever you could find. Yeah, or using the square base with the circles on the bottom to do the whirlwind.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was the good old days. And I stuck with it, even after I had kids, even after I got older. My kids like to play. So they like to hobby, they like to model. So in the 30 years that I've been doing the hobby, I think I only had maybe about a 2 or 3 year break. And that was when I moved to China, because we were in a part of China that there was just no scene whatsoever. But I've been doing one form of tabletop gaming or another during all that time.
Right on.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, good on fostering the next generation. My goddaughter plays Tyranids, and I couldn't be prouder.
There you go, start them young.
I have
exactly. Just turning 8.
I have so many kids, but they're not mine. They're other people's kids, and they still come to me when I'm not working in the shop anymore, and they're like, "Bill," and they still treat me like I work in the shop, and I'm like, I'm in an LGS. I obviously don't work there, and they still treat me like, "Oh, Bill, can I use the bathroom?" I'm like, "It's not my shop."
Yeah, you can try. We'll see how it goes.
Like, it's not my shop. Like, oh, Bill,
Which LGS in Singapore?
In Battle Bunker.
Okay.
Battle Bunker.
Yep.
So that's my local, where because it's so close, I literally walk like 20 minutes and I'm there.
Nice.
But
that same way I make my decision. One is a straight line on the subway. One involves 2 transfers. Guess which one I go to.
Yeah, man, yeah. All right then, Jason.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the second prompt. So, what are you like enjoying about the hobby right now?
Like right now.
Right now, I just love painting and modeling, to be honest with you. So every single day, it's my stress relief, because I work for a big famous MNC, and I put in some crazy hours, especially during COVID and whatnot. So every single night, I mean, this is how I decompress. Putting together, painting, I love it, right? And I love building a story, building, a fluffy army, converting, making it mine, all these different kinds of things. So for me, really, the hobby part is enjoying the most. And there's fantastic new stuff coming out all the time to really work on. So it's constantly refreshed.
I'm very much the same. For me, it goes in order of importance: hobbying, lore, and then games are cool and I like them. But like the hobby and the lore, that's what's kept me fresh and in love for, again, same 30 years this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my first Heresy army was 5 years ago. I had always wanted to put one together, but I never either had the time, the money, or the access to the product to do it. And then once I moved to Malaysia and I had all those things, then all of a sudden I could focus on it. And I knew from a long time ago that I wanted to do Death Guard, because that was the first army I built in 2nd edition when the metal Death Guard minis came out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So for Heresy, that was my army, and now I've got about 10,000 points of it painted up. But I'm a hobby butterfly, so I've got 7 different legions going right now.
Nice. Yeah. A couple months ago, I lost my entire Death Guard army. Somebody nicked it on the move from. So it used to be in Red House, right? In my old shop, and it was displayed there on various occasions and stuff like that. And when I was taking stuff away, I noticed that I was just missing a whole case. I talked to the local store manager, the replacement store manager wasn't there, so it just got nicked, like a whole Death Card army, just boop. So.
Oh wow! 40K?
So if you're out there with Bill's army,
Horus Heresy.
We'll find you. We will find you.
I was pretty upset because I collected I very slowly collected that because I started that army in uni.
Oh, Heresy is the champagne, right? Like it's the special occasion game.
Yeah, so I started that collection back in uni, and I was a very poor uni student, but I would always go in with other people in terms of like to save money on shipping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would like get like a 5-man squad every once in a while, just be boop boop boop.
Yeah, a couple upgrade packs, rhino doors, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and eventually I built up quite a bit of a collection for it. I was really shocked because most of my tactical marines were actually Mark IIs, like the original Mark IIs in resin. Right? I was pretty like annoyed about that. Like, I can't really replace those.
I mean, but Singapore's not a huge place. There's been no news. It hasn't turned up whatsoever.
No.
Wow. So somebody's either a complete dick and stashing it in their closet just to hold on to it, or they quickly sold it maybe on the internet or something like that.
I don't know.
That sucks. Yeah, that's a terrible story.
That's total balls.
That hurts me as a Death Guard player. That hurts me.
Every time a new Death Guard player comes in, I'm just like I would tell them that story. I'm just like, oh god damn it, Bill.
Like, can I check out your Praetor? I'm just gonna look at it really close.
Yeah. So I've decided to start Word Bearers with Mr. Molly, and they're slowly getting the funds together. But I get what you mean by the whole thing of like, at several points in your life you have the money, but then you don't have the time, then you don't have the access, and it's just like, it's really weird. But sometimes the stars align, and you get everything done.
There you go. Word bearers and the stars aligning. Yeah, I've got a small word bearers force as well because I've painted on my own now 5 different legions, but then I've also been able to buy 3 different legions in different states of completion and whatnot. And one of them actually has been featured on the 30K channel. So I have an Alpha Legion army that's really 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 nice that I couldn't pass up the opportunity to buy. But some of the new word bearer models are so nice. Argel Tal and the Praetors, and they're really nice. Really nice.
And the Galvor Blacks still hold up as some of the best miniatures that they've released for Heresy. Like, it's everything Possessed and Demon Princes wish they were everywhere else.
Absolutely, yeah.
So during the announcements at the LVO recently, what do you think about the
Adepticon?
At Adepticon. What do you think about the mutated like Chaos Spawn Demon thing that they kind of like put in? Do you think that's gonna be like I'm holding out hope that's gonna be like a 30K like Chaos Spawn, like some sort of abomination spawn, because I think we're missing that, because there definitely were not everyone that got possessed by a demon
Galvor backed up.
Surely became a Galvor back. That's like 100% success rate. That's crazy.
Well, they released those Demon Brute models for 30K. Forge World did, over a year ago. And then they haven't released anything else.
Yeah.
Except for Kabanda. I take that back. We've got the new big Bloodthirster guy, right, that just came out not too long ago. But in order to build that Demons of the Ruinstorm list at 30K, the models don't exist. You're just stealing 40K models.
Yeah, you just use the 40K models. But I'm really...
But since the demons work so differently, it would be really nice to see a dedicated Age of Darkness, Demons of the Ruinstorm, Neverborn, whatever the hell you want to call it, set or series of miniatures.
But here's the weird thing, right? Again, it goes back to the whole thing of Demons of Ruinstorm. The descriptions are kind of everywhere on the demons, because they don't have the very specific Chaos Gods yet. They're not very well defined, with the exception of the greater demons. Like the regular Joe Schmoes, they've got different descriptions from every different area. Some of them have bat-like wings. Some of them have leathery kind of black skin, and it's just what's that? I don't know what that is. Maybe they're Furies. Maybe they're like like maybe trying to say it's a pink horror, but like we don't actually know. So it's I think it's purposely like kind of like mysterious because
Well, to tie it in with the novels, where the demonic is much less clearly defined, you'll get descriptions that are like, yeah, it's sort of a plague bearer that like some legionary is fighting against, but it's sort of also not because it has a fly head. That's weird. That's cool.
Yeah, but the flip side of this is if you're a converter and a modeler, it's a paradise, right? You've got free reign to do whatever you want right now. Completely do whatever you want. And I've seen some amazing converted demons armies out there for 30K that are just kind of stealing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some third party stuff, creature caster models, all these different kinds of things, and just making some really amazing armies.
Yeah, but I'm very curious about like what are they gonna do if they are gonna make their own Demons of the Ruinstorm like models for the lesser demons, like how
that would be really cool.
Yeah, how are you supposed to galvanize all those like different descriptions from so many different stories into one thing? Because they're just lesser demons. There is no different types of lesser demons. You don't get plague bearers. You don't get bloodletters. So all of it has to congeal into one kind of like amorphous thing. So that's going to be really interesting.
Well, I think Age of Sigmar and 40K players would jump all over it too, right? Because now you have something new. Just like the refresh for Slaanesh has sold a lot of those models.
You're kind of like getting me tempted to start Demons of the Runestorm because I could probably just use them as summon demons for my word bearers. So that's a lot easier task for me to go down to the local hobby shop and go like, give me your demons and I'll convert them.
I'm going to take some bloodletters and some daemonettes and I'm going to make them make a baby.
I would say just pink horrors. Be like, combine!
Exactly. Just blobs with arms and eyes and all kinds of stuff sticking out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jeez. I've got a color scheme in mind.
But that would be really cool if they supported, it'll be interesting to see how much they support outside of the legions. Because, no one wants cults and militia to go away. Because they're a modeler's dream. You can pretty much make any army you want out of those lists.
But just saying, right? I want more actual demon legionaries, actual corrupted legionary models. Because we're at the point where we are at the Siege of Terra, and plague marines are there.
Yep.
So,
early noise marines are starting to become super common.
Yeah, where there wasn't any word or anything like that, or any mention of getting more demonic or more specialized corrupted units. So it's that's a bit odd.
That would be interesting.
It's got to be coming. I mean, it would sell like hotcakes, right?
Yeah,
and if you think about it from a lore perspective, they've got the Scouring, Siege of Terra, Scouring. They've got all these different areas that they can play in and bring out some really cool stuff.
Yeah. But we're bringing in Prime Works, which, oh my god, please give me a unit of Gaskull Thraka-sized mofos.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's some of the big holes in Horus Heresy sometimes get to me where it's just do I want another Leviathan, or can you just give me up until very recently it was Jakatai Khan. It's can I have my Primarch, please? He's the only kind of Mongolian themed Primarch, and he's not had a model ever until now.
But they didn't. But he doesn't have a jet bike. They didn't give him the model with a jet bike. That's silly.
And they even have the coolest description of his jet bike, how it's this jacked up custom void chopper. Give us that, please. You could have made a more expensive model that just slots in at the waist at either hey, I'm standing on a tactical rock, or hey, I'm rolling down the street with my ape hangers.
Why can't it be a two-part model? Maybe can't you just have him on his bike and then off his bike? Two
choices. You can buy it either way.
Buy both. No, you have to buy. No, you have to buy both.
I've seen some people take the Custodes jet bike, the 30K one, And then they've done some green stuff work on the legs, not to make him ride because the pose you can't. But they've done it where like he's kind of like got a foot up on the bike and he's kind of mounting or dismounting. That looks pretty sweet, but that's a lot of work.
No, that sounds like a ton of work with really expensive base material.
Yeah, I think it's just a really wasted opportunity because, like, okay, so if they were gonna get more corrupted like Marines, right? They would have already done it by now because that would have been the perfect time to because we're at the Siege of Terra. It was the first ever mention of the Plague Marines in that book, and they could have gone like, bam, now Plague Marines in 30K, and then everyone would have went nuts over it because it's like it lines up with the book, their first mention, they're there. It's like, oh, like everyone would have foaming at the mouth.
Well, I mean, if you at Warhammer World, they've got this big, huge display. I was there pre-COVID, and they had a display where the Dark Angels were fighting the Death Guard. And for the Death Guard models, they took a bunch of the 30K stuff and the 40K stuff and just started mixing it. And it looked awesome.
Oh yeah, it would.
Yeah, it looked really, really, really good. And I mean, why not do that or release more official models in that kind of line of thinking?
Yeah, because it's just like not everyone has the capability to kit bash. Not everyone has that time. Not everyone has the skills required. It is a skill you need to learn, and it takes time.
Yeah, and a certain mindset for sure. Like you can see the components and be able to reconfigure it in your mind before you start cutting and hacking.
Or you just cut and hack and just you jam it together and just be like, just hope it works, and then just grease out the rest. That's what I do.
I'm GW's target audience because I'll walk into the shop and I'll see a brand new box and I'll think to myself, that one part on the sprue, what I can do with that one part. And then I'll get it home and I'll clip it and I'll use it and then I'll never use the rest of the box whatsoever.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Give me that sweet, sweet Mark II helmet with the crest.
Exactly.
And it's like, see you later, the rest of the Stern Guard.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, 30K Chaos Spawn. Like that's what I think that Adepticon like reveal is. I really hope it's gonna be a 30K Chaos Spawn because, like, there should be some Chaos Spawn. Not everyone has 100% success rate of like really becoming a Galvor back. That can't be correct.
The Thousand Suns and the Flesh Change, right?
Yeah,
turn into Spawn.
That would be a cool freaking miniature, or series of miniatures, because again, we're at that stage in their history where the Flesh Change is just starting to amp up, like, to where it eventually leads to the Rubrique being created.
Yeah.
So yeah, give us some lumpy, meaty, weird, backwards kneed, fire breathing blue Thousand Sun dudes. That would be tight.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to learn about like where this tradition of just throwing people in a hole when they get too mutated came from. Because I was reading that.
Raven Guard too.
Yeah.
Raven Guard had their mutants.
Yeah, and they just
do the Raptors.
Yeah. But like the Thousand Suns specifically, like I was reading out, like I just wanted to find out, like, what do they do with all their mutated guys? Do they send them into battle? Do they like kill them or something? And they're like, no, they just have a hole, like a hole in the ground, and they just push them in, and they don't kill them.
That hole is going to be so moist by now, like ew.
It's basically like a whole bunch of Chaos Spawn, like really freaking mutated Chaos Spawn, and they're basically just like mutated into each other, and it's just like a writhing mass, and it's just like
it's like Cronenberg's worst and best dreams.
Human Centipede 6.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I was in that situation, I would. I don't think I would like that. I'd rather you just give me the Emperor's Peace right then and there. I mean, I know that you guys are like working on a cure, quote unquote, but
I don't have any patience with that.
Yeah, and if everyone's become one big piece of angry bacon, how's that going to work out when you cure the Flesh Change?
Yeah.
So you get one big dude with a lot of arms.
Yeah,
Magnus did nothing wrong, right?
Yeah, of course, not a dang thing.
Yeah. So I'm real curious where that started. I'm real curious like how they're gonna work that into story, like in one of the books, going like, whose fucking bright idea was that?
Or like have like a scenario where someone finds one of those flesh pits, like in the 41st millennium, just like takes the cover off and oh god.
Close that back away.
Yeah, it's so weird, and I'm like, it's like, okay, like, Thousand Sons, you're all very learned people, you're all like, sorcerers and stuff like that. It's like, can't you guys just like put him in a weird like storage like cube or something, and like, I actually categorize it nicely like a proper like intelligent like, scientist person, and not just like, yeah,
which
just put him.
Are apparently.
Yeah, and then instead of just like, just push him in the hole. It's like, what? That is the most like,
back to the hole.
I think all the legions, except for maybe like the Ultras and the Sallys in the books, they're all shitheads at one point or another. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes.
All of them.
Yeah.
Every last one.
Yeah.
Even the Ultramarines, I will say. They're kind of shitty. Especially when... Oh, man, like...
I'm just reading Betray or Mark of Calf.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
But I just generally think that Gilliman is a bit of a fucking asshole when it comes to like his interactions with some of his brothers, and he plays a lot of favorites, and he looks down on
and
some
a lot
of his
of like I do like how they presented him as a much more interesting Machiavellian character rather than like Chin Von Poster Boy of like the Space Marines, and they made him a lot more in depth and detailed. Flawed. They really play up his like egomania and the fact that he thinks he's always right, and then sometimes it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, like, exactly. Rogel Dorn as well, right? He's got a lot of flaws now. Yeah. From the Siege books.
Yeah, but makes him a more interesting, compelling character.
Yeah,
for sure.
Or even Lorgar. Like for years, my main 30k army is Word Bearers. And for years, I was not a fan of the Word Bearers because the fluff was like, Lorgar's a whiny bitch. Dad didn't hug him and kiss him on the top of the head enough, so he shoved Satan into all of his sons and threw a giant hissy fit that had caused the heresy. And then I read Betrayer and First Heretic.
Yep.
And those both really fleshed out the Legion and the character for me. Fell in love with the character of like Argental. I like the whole like story arc where it was going from like hyper atheism to the point of fanaticism in the Legion to devotion in the Emperor to lost like empty people looking for something that became the pilgrimage to the eye. And I thought all of that was really well paced out, and as a result, now I have a butt ton of Word Bearers.
I agree totally. My goal is to paint every single Legion, but at one point I was like, do I really want to paint the Word Bearers? Because I was with you. I'm like, I don't like these guys. They're not great. They're just basically the assholes of the heresy. But you're absolutely right. In both of those books, that totally got fleshed out. I really liked the graphic novel McCraig's Honor.
Right? Haven't had the chance to yet.
That is a great little graphic novel that kind of gives them a little bit more substance as well and shows the battles with the Ultramarines. Yeah, I like them now. That's why I put together a force as well.
Yeah. I really like how they've characterized Gilliman in as this kind of like fucking snooty, like rich spoiled kid that kind of like had everything that like. So he really likes
Dad,
like,
can I borrow the car?
It's like one of those things where it's like he judges you where you grew up in. So like, he was all right with Putaraba because he grew up on Olympus. It was like, all right, you're about like,
like Dorn because Inuit and the technology and the fact that it was a small stellar empire.
Yeah, but then you should see him like when he fucking like sees the lion, and he just like looks at him like he's a fucking like barbarian, and he's just like, and the lion sees this and he's like, what, you want to go, mate?
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, which number are you?
Yeah, he also had that same...
counting after one.
he also had that same thing when Jagatai Khan came on as well, where he saw he came his people were from like a super backwater planet, and he just basically and he basically just shat on like their entire culture. Like he had a big tirade about it. It was just like, bro, like
shut up.
But it's good, right?
I do like Dorn and the Khan's relationship in the Siege of Terra books, where Dorn seems to understand the Khan, and just like let the Khan do what the Khan does. Don't like be like, "Yo, man, the walls, rapid strike force."
No, I always see Dorn doing this, like that Patrick Stewart meme, right? Where he's like, "Yeah, I can't do anything about it, but just go ahead, go."
Make it sound.
Yes.
I see Dawn as more of the like the Khan and Dawn have a good relationship because it's kind of like a mutual understanding of like, I don't know what you're all about and I don't really understand, but it works. So I'm not gonna say anything if you aren't gonna say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the like you can tell like there are similar personality traits coming to and from, which I think is really interesting. Like like how Dawn really dislikes Fulgrim because he's a show-offy bastard and he like
preening little peacock.
Yeah. And also Jagatai Khan like also really doesn't like him but doesn't say much until there was that one quote in a book where
Fulgrim told Jagatai about his ships. I heard you do strange things to your ships.
Yeah.
And the Khan says, I heard you do strange things to your men.
Yeah.
That's just drop the mic.
Yeah, but also there was also another quote where it's like, where he he basically basically called Fulgrim out like because they had like a bit of a tiff on who was the best swordsman. And like Fulgrim was saying like, "Oh, I'm the best swordsman because I'm known throughout the entire galaxy. I have this many deeds. I've killed these like aliens and stuff like that in one-on-one
Behold
combat.
My trophies, full of demons that will not come back to fuck me."
Yeah, and he's just like he's a very show-offy like pompous guy, where he's like he wants to show it all off, and he knows he's so confident in himself. Whereas the Khan's just there listening to him. He's just like, and he basically had a go at him, but saying like, okay, everyone knows what you do, but you don't know nobody knows what I do.
Exactly. Yeah, Fulgrim is probably my least liked of the Primarchs. I don't like him. I don't like Perturabo. I don't like Kurz. I'm painting a Night Lord's army right now, but I probably won't paint Kurz because I don't like him.
I want to like Kurz more, but a lot of the fiction, they really lean into the ravening madman a little too much. Like, I want Grimdark Batman. Not
crazy.
like...
Crazy baby.
Batman Joker / naked flesh sculptor screaming at his own poo kind of guy. Like, that's too much.
He's naked a lot. He's naked a lot. He loses his armor a lot.
Yeah, and he's always hanging out in these weird like feather capes and nothing else, but he's just like covered in like human viscera. Like Kurz, take a shower. Bub.
Weird dude.
Yeah,
that's a bit weird.
Weird dude.
I
was going to say for the Night Lords, the angle that I wish they hyped up a bit more is the whole like hand of justice or the scales.
Yeah.
Right? I think they totally lost an opportunity there to kind of take their fluff a little bit in that direction and not just we love to murder and torture because we come from a terrible place. Well, what about the guys that really believed in the crusade and really believed in being the emperor's justice? Why don't you play that angle too? I thought that would have been really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I also
shown could have shown like a much more distinct on the tabletop schism between like early Nostramian and Terran legionaries versus like the later intake once Nostromo starts to like fall back into crime and decadence after Big Bad Scary Batman leaves.
Mm-hmm. I really feel like the current like 30K Night Lords models are a bit too very obviously ostentatiously tortury.
Some of them are better than others. I don't like the Night Raptors that they look like they just like degloved someone's arms and then put on the skin over their armor. It looks a little Silence of the Lambs like meat suit.
They all look like they need to mix in a protein shake because those models are so skinny compared to the rest of the range.
So skinny.
Yeah, so terrible.
Yeah. But I'm like,
I've got some Mark IV legs from that time period, and every once in a while when you're doing a conversion, you're like, bitch, you got some slender thighs.
Smaller than Catachan arms?
Yeah.
Everything's smaller than Catachan arms.
Yeah.
I have a problem with them because it's just like they're too close to what Chaosy is, what current Chaos Space Marine models are. So they've got the weird, crazy, bat helmet things, but they've also got the trophy racks and the spikes, and I'm like,
that's why with my Raptors. Sorry, I was just going to say real quickly. I built my Raptors where about half of them don't have the big bat wings on their heads. Right? They've got just either normal helmets or the Terror Squad helmets with the skull. So it's not quite so over the top.
Yeah, but you see, they're almost comically over the top, and it's just like they become like cartoon characters. I think if they toned them down a lot more and really show that they're still part of the Legions. They're still part of the Great Crusade. But you give them, the World Eaters treatment, where it's like, they're just fucking, good at what they do. The World Eaters design, I think Chaos models, Traitor Legions go, I think the World Eaters have the most nuanced design, because they look almost the same as every other Legion stuff. But I think that uniformity makes it all the more interesting, because it's like, you're different.
Just those little cues.
Yeah.
My caveat to that would be, with the exception of the Rampagers, which largely is due to the fact that they're first run Horus Heresy Forge World models, so they suffer from potato head syndrome. Their proportions are whack, and their poses kind of look like they're disco dancing with kung fu weapons.
Yeah.
I use the Rampagers. I mix in some of the bits for my Night Lords, because the torsos, there's the one torso that's got kind of a chain going across the, and But you're spot on about the legs. The posing on the legs is horrendous, and it's such a shame because they're the only Mark II legs you can find now.
Exactly. Yeah. Jeez, it's a shame, but it's just some of the. I think there's been quite a few.
Maybe we'll see a plastic refresh of some of those iconic Legion squads, because rumor mill is saying we're getting 18 Legionary books over the next couple of years. Please take with pound of salt.
I would love it. I'll buy it up and repaint everything. Absolutely.
I kind of hope they stick with the compendium format. I really like that, because it requires less reprinting. You can just do erratas and FAQs that are much easier to integrate. And one thing that has pushed me away from 40K over the last few years is the codex update is too fast. And I think this is coming from an old player perspective, where I'm accustomed to 5 years minimum between major updates. So if when the Marine Codex gets updated twice in 3 years, I get sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, it's great because they're trying to rules update to kind of, rein in the excesses and these different kinds of things. But to your point, I mean, I don't need to have 6 books in a year just to make my army work. That actually signals to me that you screwed up, right?
Yeah,
you screwed up from the very beginning.
Yeah. I also dislike it, like with the FAQs and stuff like that, because it is a physical medium, and it's like if you have the FAQ that much, I'm writing the codex for you. Why am I paying you money for this book?
It's the software model, right? Release it with all the bugs and let the community fix it.
I'm like, I'm writing this book for you.
And it's especially become more egregious more recently, like with the Lumineth Realm Lords, or like the Custodes Codex, and the new Stormcast Battle Tome being obsolete before they hit the shelves. Like the rules were already being errated before they were available, and like, guys, like,
come on,
not cool.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
That's why I say 40K is turning into pay to play, right? Whether it's the codex is constantly churning or each new codex becoming the new hotness. I got out of it because of that reason. And I loved 8th edition when it first started. Yes, it wasn't like the previous. I missed armor and all these different kinds of things. But I loved 8th edition when it first came out. But then once the codex started dropping, once the codexes started dropping, I was just like, I'm out. I'm done with this. Don't like it.
No.
Yeah. I'm down to one 40K army. Everything else has been transferred over to Heresy, AOS, and Titanicus. Because I'm like, I like these games more.
I
and the communities are different. I'm sure we've all had experiences with the 40K community that were more negative than experiences we've had with, say, the old fantasy, AOS, or heresy communities, which tend to all be really rad, wholesome, let's get together and make something cool kind of folk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the crowd here in Malaysia for 30K, we started small, but we're getting a lot of people that are also getting burned out in 40K. And they're getting burned out not just for the financial reasons or the rules churn or everything else, but also because, like you said, kind of the toxic elements of that community is pushing them out. And we're like, come on over, right? You want to borrow an army? Come play, right? You want to drink some beer and just chill and throw dice? Come on over. That's what that's what we're all about. And I think we're getting, we're getting, more and more people coming from 40K, I think, for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know for a fact that like a lot of people from 40K in my community, they're switching over to Titanicus because they're like, I want big robots, but I want my robots to be bigger.
Like BattleTech, 2-story bitch bot.
I'm like,
I haven't played Titanicus, and I'm dying to do it, but there's only a few people here that are playing, and I just kind of don't want to sink the money into it until I know that there's a bit of an established community. But what we're talking about doing is, and I've taken a cue from some of the stuff in the UK where they're doing these combined events of 30K and Titanicus.
Yeah.
I think that could be super cool. I'd love to get involved in something like that.
Yeah. I was about to do that for my stop before COVID, where it was like, we're gonna have like simultaneous games of 30K and Titanicus, where during the
represent like the scale, like zoomed in and zoomed out. Oh, that is so epic and dope.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Because we had a lot of overlap where like the 30K players would also play Titanicus because it's really cool and it's really like less models. So whoever didn't feel like bringing their army, they'd just be like one small tackle box, for my Titanicus, throw it down.
I have 5 big robots. I'm good.
Yeah, and if you're like me, you're like, I want only warlords. My all warlord army.
I'd like to run a night horde.
Yeah.
Just like 30 knights.
Yeah.
Just running around causing havoc. Yeah.
We're coming for ankles!
Yeah.
And fast to paint.
Remarkably effective, actually. Knights, if you don't take care of them in the early game, they're going to do awful things to your god engines if they can get close. Like Carastus Lancers, there is nothing more upsetting than getting your warlord just like, getting a bunch of those shoved up its butt. It's not going to like it. It's going to blow up. It's going to be a bad day.
The problem with that is that your warlord is obviously a shooting warlord. It doesn't have the big chain fist and the big fist.
Nobody takes the fists.
I take two fists.
Okay, there you go. All the armies I
But it's
see, nobody takes
entirely
the fist.
aesthetic.
I'm like, so I like the whole, for me, right, I like the whole idea of like melee with like the Titans, and I love the
Oh, yeah.
mechanics. I like the idea
Especially
of
because
like,
you can, like, punch a Titan and it spins and crashes into a building, which does impact damage, and then, like, or you kill a Titan and it falls back on you, and,
yeah,
like, both your Titans get all smashed up together is so good.
I like the
Um,
whole story element and like the mind's eye element of like, okay, so in one of my Titanics games, one of my melee warlord got into close combat with a Reaver Titan, and this Reaver was also quite melee focused, and it was just trying to punch me. It was just like this little guy trying to smack Goliath, and he tried to get like a few strikes into me, but it was so difficult for him to penetrate the armor. Like it's just like it's so like, and even then the penetrations that went through, like, yeah, I had enough like hull points to take it. I don't care. Like, okay, you slightly damage my torso section.
oh no, it has the longest track.
Yeah.
I've actually been buying, even though I don't have an army and I've never played the game, I've been buying the books for Titanicus because I just want to read about the stuff and see the pictures and whatnot.
Yeah,
For
fluff
me,
is great.
oh yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
the new Traitor Legions like supplement book that just came out for Legion Titanicus, so good, so
I
good
guess to
for
loop it
Traitor
back
Legion.
around,
Yeah,
I find they're very reminiscent of the Forge World Black Books for Heresy,
yeah,
where it's just like loads of history and fluff and like just substance. And then also there's a bunch of cool rules and a game in there too.
yeah, yep.
exactly. I this is going to come out like a brag, but I don't mean it to. I have two full sets of the black books. I have one here in Malaysia, and I have another set in the United States because I was worried that if something happens and I leave Malaysia, I
Mm.
may not be able to take the books, or they may get damaged, or whatever else. So when I saw somebody selling another set in the U.S. for super cheap, I was like, done. I'm buying
Yeah,
those.
Yeah,
Just because of the fluffs and the pictures, and I would never ever consider reselling them. It's all about keeping them for my benefit
yeah.
and
because they're just
I don't know
awesome.
about you. Oh, sorry, yeah, but I don't know about you, but every time a new Black Book comes out, the thing I'm most excited for is what free like Primarch Legion are they going to show me the armor variant of in this one?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, and just like the little things, like the early salamanders with the Saturnine ram on one shoulder, and just the little bit of green, or like the early fists where they've just got a little bit of yellow going on, so it's starting to kind of take hold.
The
Yeah,
Dust
I love
Raiders,
it.
the Dust Raiders. I'm like, whoa, you changed a lot.
A lot.
Like, oh my gosh, it's so different.
I always mix in. So my main armies, I've got Death Guard, I've got Iron Hands, Night Lords. For each one of them, I take certain pictures from the black books and I paint models that way. So I've got some of the Iron Hands where they have red shoulder pads because they were under Autek Moore. And then I've got
Yeah,
some of the Night Lords that have the various splashes of black, whether it's on the face mask or a knee pad, whatever else. Death Guard, same thing. Dusk Raiders. I just think it adds so much more visual interest and character to the army.
very much so.
Yeah, like
Like
for
even some of the new rule packs, like when they released the Nemesis destroyers for Ultramarines, I'm like, Nemesis chapter.
like
That's why you're all dicks. You were all destroyer cadres.
like I like the whole idea, like because like a lot of the intakes from the pre-Primarchs were all Terran born. So like the idea of having like a just all the legions have this where like in the interim they had like more Terrans and they had like the actual like people
Mhm.
from like Olympus or Ultramar or from Barbaros. So they and then slowly but surely they got replaced, and like they recruited more from those
The
planets and
balance
those worlds.
shifts.
The balance shifts. So I like the whole like idea of like having a Terran-born company, because if you read about it, like the Terrans like have a really distinct culture that is very separate from any of the other like Legion's cultures. Because like I wish they could have explored that kind of like cultural like tension a bit more, because even the Ultramarines had this problem. Even the Ultramarines had this problem where like they were very different. They had a lot of like arguments,
and the integration wasn't necessarily as like peanut butter smooth.
It definitely was not smooth. So
it was actually crunchy.
Yeah.
We have a player here that has Luna Wolves. He has a full Luna Wolves army that he's painted in all the original colors, and he plays them as loyalists. He doesn't play them as traitors. He doesn't have any of the special Sons of Horus units in there. I love seeing stuff like that. Very interesting to me.
Yeah.
My word bearers are based like time period wise Calth, like before Calth actually like went down. So I painted mine majority red, but like some of them have like large gray sections of their armor still because they haven't completely switched over the scheme. I have avoided taking any Galvor back or Tainted Dreadnoughts because I'm doing the chapter of the Unspeaking, so it's a lot of destroyers and terminators, and that's about it.
Yeah. I'm doing
and just leaning into that fluffiness a little more. And now that I'm going to be building World Eaters for Bill and I, we're going to be doing a slow grow heresy kind of thing over the next little bit. Secret. I'm doing later Shadow Crusade, so like just on the brink of Angron's apotheosis. So I'm incorporating like more Khornate iconography into the miniatures, a little more savagery. I'm using a lot of like Marauder arms on my legionaries, so like they've ditched one pad and one set of armor because it got damaged. They don't care. They're pissed off. I'm going to punch you.
Yep.
Dude, if the invitation is open, include me in that. I would love another excuse to work on another force.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely count me in. And I'm a hobby butterfly to keep it fresh. I go back and forth
all over the board. At least 5 projects on the go at any given moment. Otherwise, like it's not going to work out for me.
Yeah, I've got sitting right here in front of me. We've got a Iron Hands Termite.
Yep.
We've got Night Lords, and we've got Death Guard. So yeah, every night something different.
Yeah, yep. Whereas my Wood Bears force is the exact opposite of Molly's, where it's a lot of demons and it's like full corruption. So I found the perfect shade of red, shade of Rouge Red in a spray can. It's the Tamiya kind of like it's actually the Tamiya Ferrari red. It's not as bright as you might think. It's actually pretty dull rouge. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Roll with it.
And I'm gonna be like mixing armor types as well. So I'm gonna have them have like the Mark IV torsos and legs, but I want them to have like Mark III shoulder pads and helmets because I like the whole idea of like, okay, these guys, they're gonna be like veterans, and what do veterans always like? They like keepsakes. So this helmet has been with me since like day one. I'm gonna keep this helmet. I don't care about your fancy
as the heresy goes on. You get more and more cannibalization of equipment. Like I'm sure we've all heard the discourse about like people losing their shit over there being Mark VI Marines in the new box set. Like, not everyone had beakies. Yes, everyone had fucking beakies. Some people had more of them first, but especially by the Solar War and the Siege of Terra, especially by the Siege of Terra, by the time Horus's forces, reinforced Mars and got access to all that shit, everyone had fucking Mark VI. Stop being a bitch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that definitely don't know their fluff. Like my favorite in some of the Facebook chat groups are the people that lose their minds about a Rhino, the 40K Rhino. the Mars pattern.
Use the Mars pattern.
And I'm
it's
like,
in the fourth book in the background.
It is. Well, there's also an Iron Warriors one in color in one of the black books. So I always just post that picture in the chat. I go, there you go. There's actual proof that it existed.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, not everyone had access to as many of them as some would have liked, but they're there. They're equipment, like there's different sets of
and also from 40K to 30K, Legionary scale versus chapter scale is so freaking different. So like in a chapter, you have 1,000 dudes. You're going to have a somewhat more limited supply of arms and equipment and mixing and matching. In a Legion, you're looking at like minimum high tens of thousands of dudes, unless you're Vulcan. And then like some of the Legions, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of Legionnaires. So spread across the galaxy, the way logistics work, the way Forge Worlds make their own idiosyncratic marks, you're going to have an incredibly visually diverse force. And if you need everyone to be in Mark II, Mark III, and it be perfect Codex compliant, or I guess period bellicosa or whatever the hell compliant, you're kind of missing the greater feel and greater story of the scale of the heresy, which is one of the things I super like, and the fact that like games get good at 3,000 points.
Yeah,
I like the absolutely.
I like the whole idea of like there is nothing wrong with like mixing and matching like different like rhinos or land patterns. And I'm like looking at it like, okay, cool. Like this is a large scale like conflict. Like it's a long war, so different sets of equipment still get used. You look at our own history in World War II, right? Panzer IIs and Panzer IIIs were still rocking around with Tiger 1s and even Tiger 2s later on. They're still rocking around. And it's just like, that's like an almost 10-year-old like tank at that point. And it's just like, they're still using it because it's like, it still works.
No, absolutely.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, you know,
go ahead. Sorry, Bill.
Yeah, like the only reason why you would have like, you know, extra shipments is because like you fucking broke it, so you need an extra thing. I'm not going to replace the entire like, you know, the entire logistics company's worth of like rhinos to freaking like, you know, Mars pattern rhinos just because one unit needed 2 extra rhinos to reinforce them.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
Yeah, when I built my Iron Hands, which is the largest of the armies I have, I've got a mix of Demos pattern, Mars pattern. I've got some where I actually mix the two together. Where I put like a Mars pattern Predator turret on a Demos body, because the whole concept of my Iron Hands is that they're basically, you know, of course, the survivors from the massacre, and they're just grabbing whatever they can from wherever they can, and they're raiding and fixing and doing whatever they need to do. So
like just bordering on Black Shield territory.
Exactly.
As far as like scavenge, that's cool. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought of another great, like, you know, bit source for the Demons of the Runestorm. The Warcry board pieces, the box.
Oh, yeah, that would be
because
because the Furies are pretty, or they're undivided, so they're definitely like god agnostic. And then like it would be easy to make the Razor chickens into pretty much any like sort of shadowy beast you wanted.
I'm talking about like for bits and stuff. Like, you know, I'm thinking about like, you know, doing conversions on like blood letters, so with those bits inside. Because I just realized, wait,
those together,
I just realized like, hey, those kits actually come in one Warcry box now. They're not part of the set. You can just buy them separately, and there's quite a bit of them.
Yeah, 6 and 6,
Yeah, you get 6 and 6 of them. So it's like, that works. That works. I can probably like, you know, just use up most of like the cockatrices for like, you know, 6 weird cockatrice blood letters and 6 fury blood letters. And it's like, okay, you are the cockatrice force. You are the fury force. I get to know which one is which.
So I guess we know Bill's next purchase tomorrow at the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My local shop would be so weirded out. It's like, but you're Tyranids, Bill. You always buy Tyranids. It's like,
Not today, Satan.
I think you can actually even dig into like Blood Bowl. If you look at like the Nurgle's Rotters or some of the or more. I mean, not Mordheim. What's the other ones from Warcry? No, from Underworlds. Excuse me.
Yeah, from Underworlds. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Tzeentch War Band or a couple of these different kits.
Or the Worm Spat.
Yep.
They would look really good on some disgustified, demonic kind of nondescript Nurgle things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like maybe I would want to maybe I want to convert some plague marines, but like like some I'm sorry, not plague marines, some plague bearers, but I would like to have them a bit fatter.
Yeah,
fatter,
chonky boys instead of the emaciated, like little rot sticks.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out like how do I want that to happen. It's like how fat do I want them as well? It's like where do I stop?
What's the Gellerpox infected?
Yeah, the Gellerpox infected.
Oh yeah,
those might make a good base.
Yeah, they're just a bitch to find now.
Yeah, they're so hard to. I love the Gellerpox infected like little like vermin they have, like the worms and stuff like that.
Yeah, the fleas and stuff. Yeah.
The fleas and vermin. I think that'd be an amazing demons army. Like, you could use them as your lesser demons because hey, like the fleas are giant fleas. They're on 25mm bases. So it's like that works.
Rules appropriate.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Giant fleas.
Unless you have that guy that accuses you of modeling for advantage because you're not a big full size, you're a flea or something, right?
Yeah, but the flea is actually like it's a giant flea, so it's about the same size like as like a poxwalker anyway. So it's like
I had that
dude.
I had that happen when we were talking earlier about how I said I played a couple tournaments here. My Death Guard goes all the way back to 2nd edition. So I have current models all the way to 2nd edition. And I was using a bunch of my 2nd edition Plague Marines to play. They're all fully painted, fully based, everything else. And some guy in one game said, those aren't the size of the regular Plague Marines. And I go, do you realize that these are real models? They're not, like, I'm not getting third-party stuff trying to bend the rules. I painted these models.
3D printing them at like 10% smaller.
Yeah, he got all bent out of shape. And I was like, you know what? I tell you what, if you think that you can draw a line of sight based on a regular model, I'll let you have it. I don't really care. Right? I'm just playing with these.
Just go back to having fun now, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm very determined that by Woodbury's Force, it's going to be all true scale. It's going to be all tall boys. So they're going to be taller.
I'm doing the same with my World Eaters. I want everyone embiggened. So the much taller new Mark 6s are making me pretty happy. Because all the size comparisons I've seen online, they appear to be Primaris or just shorter.
They're just shorter, yeah. But I like the idea of like if I do
is like couple inches shy.
I like the whole idea of like if I actually do eventually get Logar, he will actually be size appropriate. He's gonna be like almost the same size as everyone else there.
I use a lot of tactical rocks on my basing, so I don't true scale the thighs or anything like that. But I just bump the bases up just enough where they've got some height to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll sometimes double base them, like paint it on like a 25 and then mount that on a 32 and then just build up some sand and rubble and detritus to make it look like he's not standing on two bases. But just to give a little more commanding presence, or sometimes just some visual interest to the unit. So like they look like they're on different terrain and different heights and stuff, because I don't know, have fun, damn it.
Yeah, just have fun. Just chill out and have fun. Like I really like the whole so 30K. Like what do you think about this? We're on our third segment right now because we're already on an hour. But that's okay.
Oh yeah, we are tangenting hard. Yeah. It is great.
But it's okay because like we have learned from our previous guests that we can just split this into part 1, part 2s on the same week. So
Tune in next week to see the resolution of this conversation.
No, I won't do that to people. I'll probably release it on like a weekend or something, like Monday show, and then like part 2 is coming on Saturday or something, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the Saturday matinee bonus.
Yeah. But like that goes towards like the third prop, which is like, is there anything in the hobby that you're concerned about?
Concerned about? Well, I think the costs are getting out of control, and I'm somebody that's less price sensitive just because I'm fortunate enough to have a decent job, right? But even for me, looking at some of the prices, like I hopped on the Forge World website, and a single tank is now $175 US. And I'm just thinking to myself, what are you doing? I mean, I get it.
Transfer sheets,
right?
Transfer sheets.
Yeah, the cost to me, I think, is going to be a huge factor. The other thing that kind of concerns me again is, do we turn it into pay for play or pay to win, right?
Yeah.
Which is what happened with 40K. God forbid that happens with 30K. I would probably just be strictly a modeler and painter at that point rather than actually playing the game.
Or just stick with the first edition Heresy rules. My local community had a big conversation recently where we're like, so we all agree that if the new rules suck, we just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are my biggest concerns. But I think cost is going to be so huge because on the one hand, you're saying that you want to recruit new players, and those players are going to be young. How, when you're charging them this much money? I don't get it.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, like how is a young kid supposed to buy his first start collecting nowadays with his pocket money?
How are most adults supposed to like accumulate an entire army in a reasonable time frame?
Yeah.
Like the only reason my collection is as dope as it is I don't have kids. If I had to invest in Spawn, I would have way fewer tiny men.
Yeah.
Just a weird sentence.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate enough that I've recently just starting next week, I'll be doing basically making a career out of the hobby again. So basically commission painting and also like the YouTube stuff, and also streaming hopefully with Molly soon. So because we finally got that kind of working, and we're still testing things out on it, but we will do that soon.
Yeah, kind of figuring out a formula and how that's best going to work. But yeah, and that makes a big difference because it gives you access to, wholesaler prices. You get in good buddy with some third-party manufacturers, and all of a sudden your orders got some extra stuff in it.
Yeah, exactly. And also it gives me a chance to experience like different models that I've never worked with before. Like, I've never, ever painted like any of the new Primaris stuff, or even just built them, like built these new kits, and I think they're like, quite frankly, right? These new kits, right? I think they're kind of AIDS, because
are we talking about the ATV?
Just all the new vehicles that have come out, and all the new the new models, the new infantry models. I hate this like 3D CAD design like sprue management they've got going on, where like the pieces are like in halves, and it's just like it's really actually quite difficult to build them. Like, you need to pay very close attention to the instructions.
Oh
you need to put them in a very certain way.
I never used instructions until some of the more recent ones, because now it's like building IKEA. If you have pieces left over at the end, something went terribly wrong, and your couch is about to explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree as well. For me, the lack of customization options. Okay, yes, you let us put on new shoulder pads, or yes, you let us switch the head. But trying to, make unique close combat guys or different things like this, it's almost impossible now with some of the new kits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it at all, and that's I think also kept me in 30K. I can go more wild.
Very much so. Like the 140K army I've kept is my firstborn Oops All Vanguard army, And like one of my captain options is in the superhero landing pose because I use the bent legs from the old tactical set. Puttied him so he's at a forward angle. Use the Forge World cybernetic upgrade hand that's in like the big clenched fist, so he's like punching down into the ground as he lands, and it looks freaking dope. But you can't do that with the Primaris boys. Like it's look left, look right, look left, look right.
It's all completely static. There's no posing with them. Like there's no two ways about it unless you do some serious.
I will say the sculpting is far more dynamic now. Like you're getting some beautiful miniatures with a great sense of motion captured, but that's it. Like what you see is what you get. Like, and everybody's Emperor's Champion is going to be in the same pose. You just don't have that option, or don't seem to be encouraged by the product itself to go into that same level of conversion. That was the bread and butter like 10, 15 years ago. Like, if you built it like it was in the box back then, loser.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean,
it goes back, I think, to the enjoyment of building. Like, I don't enjoy building these things. They're not fun to build at all. Like,
no, it's a process.
Yeah, it is.
It's like basting. It's not fun. You just have to do it.
And it's not like it's quicker for you to build these. It actually takes longer because there's more pieces in them. And
a lot of the time they're really fiddly, and like you drop it and then you're like scuttling around on your floor.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, if I want to make one Primaris guy unique now, I got to spend 3 or 4 days doing green stuff sculpting, right? Mm-hmm. And at that rate, I'll never have an army, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be a balance between the two. Let me customize, but don't make it so damn hard.
Yeah. Like, okay, so for example, right, like so this guy, right, the ancient, he's an ancient, he's a
Blade Guard ancient, dude.
Yeah. All right. Yep. So in the old way of doing this, right, this model might have been 4 or 5 pieces. 4 or 5 pieces.
Yeah. So, legs, torso, head, arm,
backpack. That's it.
Pads.
Yeah, and pads. But in this new kit, this guy is like freaking like 10. He's 10. And some of the pieces, right, are tiny. They're actually tiny on this. Like, it is, like, I don't understand why that couldn't be, like just combined. A little more
cohesive, yeah.
A lot more cohesive. Like, if you're gonna make models monopose, make them easier to build. Because you're supposed, like, why? Okay, we get dynamic posing, sure. But we could already make our own dynamic poses with the old kits. Because they were
did
so
it all
standardized.
the time. We just talked about my superhero landing dude.
Yeah, because they were so standardized and they were so like posable. That's why, like, one of the few the one 40k army that I'm always excited about is my Tyranids, because they're still on ball joints. They're all on ball joints. So, like, when I have to build this, I go. When I want to build my Tyranids, I'm like, ooh.
Have you put together any of the new Death Corps of Krieg?
Yeah.
Those
I haven't.
I think those they got it right. And the reason why I say that is every single model has 3 loadouts that you can choose from.
Oh.
So if you have 3 boxes of these 30 miniatures, you can make 30 unique miniatures. Right.
Nice.
And they don't have 20 pieces per guy, right? It's mostly due to the head, the backpack, and the weapon.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing kit. I love it, and I've been accumulating as many as I can because I'm going to use it to make a militia army for 30K.
Nice. Yeah. Oh man, I need a private jet so I can fly around the world and play games with cool people.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, Mr. Bezos, I want one of your jets. I know you got like 8.
I want to go visit Mini Wargaming, so should we be in the neighborhood, we'll let you know.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. But also in the same release, the old commando knobs. They are not an easy kit. They are so
Oh, that's too
frustrating to
bad. That is
build.
too bad.
It's
Because they
ridiculous.
had so much character.
Yeah, but the amount of pieces, like the fact that like there are pieces where like you have to put on the pouches, and it's like 3 pouches, and there's like one little clip,
And it's on
and
a
it
little
goes.
peg, and it only
It's the
goes
one little
one
peg, and
place.
it goes one place, and it's like, why couldn't that have been molded on?
Well, it's also the layout on the sprue is completely idiotic. The
Yeah.
numbers don't they're not close to each other. So you'll have like
Right?
part number 1 here, part number 3 is on a completely different sprue.
Yeah.
It's so stupid the way they laid out the commandos. It's
Yeah.
almost like
Yeah.
completely different people worked on the Krieg and the commandos.
Like I think that what they're doing right now is that they're using some sort of like 3D CAD algorithm for their sprue. Their
Oh, to
sprues
kind of maximize surface area?
yeah, but it's not.
That would
It's
make sense with how chaotic some of them are, where, like, I recently built a buddy a Star Collecting Chaos Space Marine box. Same kind of thing. You're like, where the hell is his arm? The rest of
yeah,
him was right here. Oh, it's on a completely different sprue because it just tucks into this negative space where part of the Venom crawler is.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's not intelligent sprue design. That's an AI doing the job for you. That's very lazy, I think.
Yeah.
That's very telling about like what they want to do in the future, which is basically they don't really care. They just want to make money and like
Yeah,
make more money.
pump product.
Yeah.
And I'm sure because we're all old school, we all noticed a change in the company when they went public. Like, as far as their priorities, the experiences you have in official shops, and the way products are released and prioritized has changed.
So much.
For better or worse.
Usually for
That's
worse.
not for us to distinctly just. It's for worse. But yeah, like there's a distinct change once it became a publicly traded, larger multinational company. And that makes sense because they're now beholden to the board as opposed to the fan base.
Yep.
Absolutely. Agree completely. Some of the changes I think are for the better, right? To the point of, better sculpting, better technology,
Yep.
these different kinds of things. Great, fantastic. But listen to the players, and the players you listen to shouldn't just be the ultra competitive loud guys, right? It should be
make up a
exactly. But it seems like that's who they listen to about everything now. We need to refresh the codexes. We need to do this. We need to do that. Why? The majority of people are not chasing the meta, right?
Yeah, most of us are just having fun narrative games. Like, I've even drifted away from match play to a degree where, like, I like playing narrative scenarios where points are not really the biggest determining factor, but the mission is. And you're telling a story. Like, you're doing like a breakout mission. You're holding an objective to the last man. And, like, even though you're outnumbered 3-1, you win if you have one dude there by turn 5. Like, those kind of scenarios, I think, spark more imagination and joy in me than just like, all right, let's objective camp, let's try and get like maximize victory points every turn. It just doesn't feel like the same game. It feels more video gamey, I guess.
Yep. It's almost like you're buying DLCs to a video game in a way.
Yeah, it really is.
I agree totally. That's why when we play 30K, we try to run the campaigns actually from the black books.
Yeah.
And many of those games are not balanced whatsoever. And you actually know one side is probably going to lose, but we don't care, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna play the story. We're gonna do this. We're gonna carry it through to the next game of the campaign. I get way more enjoyment out of that.
Yeah.
So much.
So that's the weird thing. Like, so for a very long time, GW just never listened to the competitive community. They never wanted to have anything to do with them, and now they're just opening the doors to them. And I'm like, this is good that you're listening, but
the rest of us, who actually are the butter on your bread as far as the majority of sales and percentage of your client base.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on for just a minute.
Yeah. Yes, tinfoil hat time. Yes.
If you think about the parallels that we've mentioned between video gaming,
yeah,
it's almost like you could sense that GW is thinking to themselves, well, wait a minute, there's now millions and millions of dollars in competitive video games and tournaments and all these different kinds of things.
And it's become its own entertainment, yeah.
It's televised. So in many parts of Asia, video gaming is the number one sport, right?
Or on Twitch, like no one can compete with like the video game players, like the competitive like beat Elden Ring with just like the shittiest equipment dudes.
Exactly. So you can't tell me that GW wouldn't be more than happy to control the IP to the next major sport, right? So maybe that's why they're going this direction. So that's my tinfoil hat.
No, that lines up with a few other little tinfoily conspiracies we've heard drop over the years, like GW's relationship with Marvel, which puts them in Disney's bed. So sooner or later, we're probably going to see a Disney produced something 40K property. Like, we'll see what it is, but it'll probably happen sooner or later.
Agree totally.
Yeah. So I see where they're going with this, and I see that, like, okay, that is a very good way of like kind of like opening up the avenues for monetization in a way that is like something a bit more
and becoming like a cultural touchstone, because like all specialist kind of nerd wants to become the next D&D, right? Like because of fifth edition and Critical Role and all that, like D&D is like a celebrity thing now, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Warhammer is still like our own weird little universe that outsiders are like, why are they pushing little men around and yelling "wah"? What the fuck's with that?
Yeah, people watch us when we play. Like, people watch like us when we play. And
because you get into it. Yeah.
Do you ever get the thing from LGSs where like they want more competitive players in their shops because they apparently spend the most money? And I'm thinking about it, and I'm going like, yes, but I think that they're spending more money because they're your regulars and they like the shop, not because they're competitive.
Well, we've got. I won't drop names because it's not fair to drop names, but there's some shops here that are known for the fact that their crowd is pure competitive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also the ones that are putting on tournaments every month, and they're doing all this kind of stuff. So I think they've figured out the business model of, we're going to try and hoard the meta chasers. Right?
Yeah.
And okay, I mean, that's a valid business model, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's toxic to new players, but okay.
Yeah. But also, do you get like LGS shops that, like, do you get many LGS shops that like actually stock D&D stuff? Like, properly support Dungeons and Dragons?
Not here as much. It's very segmented. I mean, the tabletop miniatures guys are pretty much tabletop miniatures, and the board games are board games, and the RPGs are the RPGs. You don't really see a lot of stores that do all of the above.
Yeah.
Here it's the exact opposite. You never see specialized stores anymore. Like both of my like locals that I frequent quite a bit are as much collectible card games and board games and other non-GW miniature games, or even like freaking like Funko Pops, are all in the same place.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like nerd hala, where like regardless of what kind of uncool, this is where you go and you die.
Yeah, but like so I had a talk with some of the store managers and store owners about this, and they tell me that it's because they don't really stock that much D&D stuff because people tend to just want to download the books online.
Mm-hmm.
so they don't actually make money off it. So they don't actually produce any sales from it. And because D&D is such a quote unquote easy thing to
have
get.
noticed in the bigger of the two shops I frequent, they have a smaller selection of 5th edition, and then what they're kind of like good is they have all the old stuff. So like for hardcore DMs who want to like go digging into the past and like update some stuff, that's where you get all your 3.5 and 2nd edition books. Sometimes in original plastic, and you're like, holy crap, it's the guide to the Underdark. I bought this when I was 8. And that seems to be a little more for that particular shop's focus for D&D. The other one has a small 5th edition section, and then more of their RPGs are some of the more esoteric ones. Like one place, it's clear that the owner loves Call of Cthulhu, because they have a lot of Call of Cthulhu gear.
Yeah. I think that's really cool for LGSs because it sets up their own identity, but I find that a lot of like LGSs in Asian countries, they look at the sales numbers. They look a lot about the sales numbers because it's what they need to survive. So it's basically like if they see that the competitive people are the ones that are doing it, everyone's going to be trying to get the competitive crowd. It's great for the competitive crowd because like everyone's having a bit of a price war, but in the long run, it's real bad for
the rest of us.
Yeah, for the rest of us, because we're just like, can you not? I don't want this drama. I just want to play some plastic toy soldiers. It shouldn't be this serious.
Yeah.
For me, it sucks.
Nice laugh.
There's no one-stop shop here. If I want X paint, I got to go to this place. If I want Flames of War, I got to go to this place. If I want, Games Workshop, I got to go to this place. And oh, by the way, this place only does Games Workshop 40K, right? You can't get, I don't know, Necromunda, or you can't get, some of the other smaller game systems. I got to go to another store for that.
There is no hobby superstore.
Yeah. Like today we were at a shop specifically because I went there for foam trays for storage. That was the shop to go get the foam trays.
I'm finding
there is a place here that makes custom foam, and it's the foam place. Because you're like, can you laser cut my foam, make it so all my dudes fit in snug?
I find it very, very, very weird. There's no like hobby superstore. Like I guess it's like, so how the LGSs work is that they're basically people from the old timey community that like decide to open up their own shops. So they've got their own little like corner of like whatever they have. But if they see like an actual hobby mega shop, they see that as like taking a piece of my pie, taking a piece of like my bottom line. So they see it as a very competitive thing. So I guess it's in a way like the community reflects what the business is saying.
And vice versa,
Yeah.
Malaysia is also unique because it's a developed country, obvious, right? But the average person here does not have the kind of money necessary to get really into the hobby.
Yeah.
So it's really the haves and the have-nots, and I think that's part of the reason why you don't have a mega store here, because there's probably just not enough business to sustain that particular store. And the other thing here is they're also very protective of their rights. So, for example, Vallejo only has one authorized distributor for their products here in Malaysia. And I was talking to another store manager that had a rack of it, and then it went away. And I asked him, what happened to your Vallejo paint? He goes, the distributor threw a fit, and now Vallejo won't sell to me. So, so it's very territorial in that sense as well.
That's crazy. Like Gorge is very, very different from what I'm accustomed to. My LGS stocks everything from like Mr. Hobby metal products to Lego. What the hell else do I line around? And then, of course, ye old G-dubs.
Yeah. Me.
They even have Green Stuff World at one of my shops, which is their neons. Holy crap!
Yeah, Wizard Newton, best ever.
Yeah.
Also, just discovered this particular paint brand. It's a hobby mate. This works super chrome. They're super chrome. Alcohol based paint. Very, very toxic, but very, very effective.
So it's like the Mr. Metal colors, which they go on like butter. They look beautiful. You need one coat in a ink wash, and you are good to go. If you lick your brush, you're gonna die.
Yeah, Jason, you haven't moved. Are you okay?
Uh oh. Machine spirit.
Okay, wait. We'll pause. Wait a minute. We'll pause. Bam! Technical issues resolved. Woohoo! We're back.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Geller fields have been reestablished.
Yes, all right, cool. Oh my gosh. All right, what we're talking about, yes, we're talking about paints and airbrushing and also the gribblies and stuff like that Molly was doing, and yeah, basically was going like...
Nice. Very nice.
Yes, very, very, very good. And my thing was that, like, oh yeah, sometimes you gotta learn to accept that, like, the model's not gonna be 100% correct. So it's just like, it's good enough. It's good enough. Just go. It's done. Just leave it alone.
That's a true story. For the longest time, I wanted to edge highlight everything. And then I was like, you know what? No, we're not doing this. Only what you can see. And even some of that is not going to get done.
Yeah.
So
I've just recently discovered Xenothaling, and it is a godsend.
I go back and forth because, like, I painted my Death Guard and my Iron Hands in true grimdark, weathered and beaten and not edge highlighted and all that.
Yep.
But my Night Lords are edge highlighted, and then I'm thinking to myself, now I know why I stopped doing this, because it's taking me forever.
Yeah, and you get like the gribblies every once in a while after like micro focusing on tiny straight lines for so long. You're like, I need to just put this down and look at something that's at least 3 feet tall.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely. Looks great, but it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Hundo P. I've definitely taken a similar route with my personal color of done.
Yeah. I do a lot of airbrushing work because, like, commission, I'm just like, okay, we need to get this done, like, pretty
bang, bang.
Like, boom, 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 boom. Like, recently I've been doing, like, a lot of Imperial Fist, as you see from my Instagram. I'm just like, fuck! Squad number 8 done. Go. Get the hell out of my table.
Whoa. Yeah, you were making me feel bad for a couple of days there.
Well, I'm still gonna do it. Apparently, he's got
you're still gonna make me feel bad.
This guy has like a third or fourth wave of like Imperial Fist for me to paint. I'm like, okay, I appreciate the business, but those guys are gonna be longer because I've got other people waiting for stuff to paint.
Yeah, and alas, 2 hands.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a guy that did fists here. He was able to paint 2,000 points in a month to a pretty good standard. What he did,
that's good.
Yeah, but most of it is airbrush. It's airbrush and weathering, and he was able to figure out a technique that really is pretty good to do. Looks good and speed.
And getting your assembly line organized before, like your pre-paint setup is monstrously important when you're tackling large projects. Like you need to know what you're hitting, what colors you're reusing. So like once you've mixed it, you just do it across the board and then go back for the individual components or things that you don't have to be as fussy with.
Yep. So I remember I got like, I think like little over a week, I got 50 Imperial Fist Marines painted. Like, and it's just like,
respect.
It's just like,
that's pretty good.
Get out of here. And then like, as soon as I needed to go back to work and was doing it part-time again, I'm like, oh shit, these 3 guys are just not getting done.
I think this week
Sorry,
on my painting
they got left on the phalanx.
I've only been able to complete 3 Night Lords in a week because of all the edge highlighting and the lightning bolts on the armor and
Oh,
You know, I'm freehanding skulls on some of the face masks and these different kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a pain in the ass.
It is a
Yep.
massive pain in the ass.
But labors of love. Every time you do something that's super challenging, especially if you have to replicate it on more than one model. When you get it all done, it feels like such an accomplishment because you put so much time, effort, and thought into that. Like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, the planning stage is probably the most challenging.
Yeah.
Like figuring out exactly what I want to do rather than doing it is much, much more time consuming for me. And I'll usually fart about on one or two models to try out ideas until I hit it. And then when I hit it, then I've got it.
Yeah. I've usually got like a recipe or like a little checklist of like what I know looks good, and I just go like, okay, let's make sure this whatever color
this
scheme
purple, this green work great every time, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to beg, borrow, and steal from the internet. And what I mean by that is like for my iron hands, I knew that I wasn't going to do edge highlights, and I knew I didn't want to be, too intense in the technique. And what I found was a guy that said Xenothal, black, gray, white, and then wash. And when you wash it down, you get everything done. Your armor is basically done. Then all you have to do is come in and do your details, do some sponge chips here and there.
Yep.
And yeah, it looks great. I love it.
Yeah. Like for me, right, like I dislike painting black a lot. I just dislike painting it because I think it just, if you don't edge highlight it, like to me, right, at least, it's not done like quote unquote right. And I'm like, I don't know, black just, it's really boring.
No, black
and dull.
is a challenge to do nicely. It either looks like you just sprayed it and left it, you went in hard and like made it really, really nice, or it's big gray stripes on the edges of everything. I tend to go from either where I'll start with a very, very dark blue gray or dark green, and then darken it from there and use washes to achieve my black. So like when you look at it, like there's a little bit of blue in there.
Yeah. I've got to start like working on that technique because I'm just like, I fucking hate painting black, and people always try and get me to paint like, I don't know, like freaking the Chaos Space Marines in Black Legion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't wanna. I just say I don't want.
That's like double death. You got to paint black and all that freaking metallic trim.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to do it. It's like, I'll pay you money. It's like, I still don't want to do it because I'll never get done because I'm going to procrastinate because I hate doing it. And they're so surprised and they're so shocked. They're like, but you're a painter, and I can refuse jobs if I want to.
Yeah, it's like artiste.
Yes.
I must have the muse.
Yes. Anyway, I am getting very, very tired. It is very, very late. I am hungover still, and I need more oily foods. I need to go down and get a kebab.
Always a good choice, sir.
Yeah, so, yeah, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for making it all the way to the end. This is going to be a 2-part thing again. Woohoo! And if you would like to help the channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you already haven't. Hit that bell icon, and also comment down below what you think, what you want to know, and also if we are correct or if we're just crazy old men. Also, we do have an Instagram. Yes. We do have an Instagram called DragonTooth Makes. Also, Mr. Molly has a Instagram called
Mr. Molly Malau.
Mr. Molly Malau. Is there anything you would like to chill for?
Yeah. I have an Instagram account as well. You can find me at OA_gamer, which stands for Old Ass Gamer. So look me up on IG.
Right. We'll put that on the screen.
Expect to follow as soon as we're done this call, yo.
Appreciate it.
We'll
likewise.
We'll put that in the video during editing. That's what we always do.
Yeah. We'll stick all that information down in the doobly-doo. So you can just check all of our stuff out, like it, love it, say mean things about it. As long as you engage, we're happy.
Yes, we need more engagement. We want people talking in the comments more. Don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody talks there. Everyone's so shy.
Make fun of my hat. It's terrible.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See ya.
You too.
Adios.